Hi guys, wee Bob here, and in this video we're going to do a community question. I've got my thinking cap on, and a community question much to Kev down the rabbit hole's delight, and I'm sure Swiftle might want to join in. However, he doesn't seem to think that sometimes I want him to do so, based on a rewatch of one of his videos today. Anyway, community question, and I was trying to come up with what to call this, and I am a bad person. I used AI yet again and come up with a Copilot helping me come up with the title of Alone Among Many, or it also said Echoes of Silence. And I guess it's to do with what I've chosen the subject to be, and you'll have read the title, so you'll get an idea. But it's your top five, or it doesn't need to be your top five, but five of these movies, because I come up with about 8 or 9, and I had to cut it down, and I tried to kind of hone the genre, if you want to call it that, down to a particular type of movie or book. So this does apply to movies, books, and probably video games as well, because I like a good video game, as you know. And I'm going to add a bonus extra as a video game for one of mine, and I'll put in some clips of me playing it, which you may have seen it before, probably. So anyway, the question to the community, let me try and put this right, is solitary survival, apocalyptic silence, unexpected bonds, and introspective science fiction is what ChatGPT and its NOS Copilot has given me to go with here. So where are we going to go with this? Let's start with my book, and it's to do with solitude. I did mention in a previous video or my last video that I love things to do with solitude. So this is all about being alone, or being close to being alone, or the end of the world. And I've just thought of one that I've not included in my list, which was really meant to be in my list, and I might add in as a bonus extra seventh thing to add. Anyway, you can make up the rules as you go along. I know Swifto does that quite often. Comes up with genres that weren't picked as part of the questions, but that's okay. Anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is it actually refers back to Kev down the rabbit hole and his sister, who has got a channel about reviewing books. And she recently put up a video reviewing this book. Now, I've got the alternative cover here. This was actually quite hard to find in physical form. I originally read this book, which is Project Hail Mary. I read it 2021, or listened to it as I do with quite a lot of my stuff on Audible subscription. So whenever I'm doing the dishes or DIY, I've got my earphones in, either listening to you guys talking about nonsense, or I've got an audiobook, in this case, Project Hail Mary. Now, not many people have heard of this. Now, I have read this book, listened to this book, probably at least once a year since 2021, if not twice a year. Partially sometimes if I'm listening to it through doing the kind of chores around the house. I'm not going to give you too many big spoilers. I know that there's a movie coming out with Ryan Gosling, and it's due out next year, I believe. I'm excited for it. I hope they don't ruin what is a fantastic book. In fact, this copy belongs to my daughter because I bought it for her Christmas. And if you see me looking over here, that's because that's where my OBS is, and I'm looking up to see what I'm looking at, whereas my camera is right here. So sorry about that, but hey, who asked me to be professional YouTuber? Even though I've been on YouTube coming up in 10 years, I think, in one form or another, which is quite scary when you say it like that. So Project Hail Mary is a book. Let's see what it says. Ryland Grace is a sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission as he fails. And if he fails, humanity and the earth itself will perish. But right now he doesn't know that. So this book starts with him waking up and trying to figure out who he is. And I would suggest reading this book before you see any trailers. I would suggest reading it without even reading the back of it, because it's one of my top books of all time, I have to say. It's certainly one I can listen to over and over again. Bits I don't like, but overall I love the story. if you like The Martian, this one's going to be very similar. As by Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian, and he wrote Artemis as well. But go check out Kev's sister's channel for the book review, because she doesn't go into too much details, which is good as well. Anyway, so that's my pick number 5 for Solitude, alone, in some way or other, or in a small group, depending on my next picks, as you'll see as they come up. I need to turn my tablet on so that I can see what else is on my notes. Give me a wee second. I'll try to put things on the screen as well. So the next one on my list is quite an obvious one. It's a big movie. Guy gets in a plane, turns to his wife or wife-to-be and says, "I'll be right back." And gets in a plane and a storm hits. They lose all instrumentation, they crash, and he wakes up on a desert island. And it's called Castaway, and it stars Tom Hanks. It's a movie that I'm guessing most people have seen. It does talk about certain subjects which are really quite deep when you think about it. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, but near the end of the movie it does get into quite kind of difficult subjects that there's not a good answer to, I guess. But I love that movie. It's the solitude thing. It's the nobody's there to help. How am I going to survive? And that's what I really love. Most of my things are to do with survival or barricading yourself in or something to that effect. It's I did actually think I had more, and I went through the list again. I asked AI, and I did it on IMDb as well, to give me a list of 100 movies that deal with this type of thing, and I realised I haven't seen a lot that I need to go back through. Some of them are ones I have seen which were horrific. Eden Lake springing to mind. If you've never seen Eden Lake, it is a brilliant movie. But I'll leave it there. Maybe look at a quick synopsis on Eden Lake, but it's quite a terrifying movie if you haven't seen it. Stop saying right. For me, I've been looking for the perfect bunker. So my number 4 pick is Castaway. My number 3 pick, I've been looking at a lot of books to do with being in bunkers, being down, solitude, something you've got to go and hide. And while I was researching this, a lot of things popped into my mind. Greenland, which is a kind of asteroid, end of the world movie, which I really liked. Silo, which is a TV show. The book is called Wool, which I have read the book. And other ones, The Remaining was another book that I've kind of read about a guy that's like a super soldier, not a super soldier, he's a soldier, and he wakes up in a bunker. But that's kind of leads me into, I've been looking for books to do with that type of subject, and I know there's movies out there that I haven't seen. I think there is one called The Bunker, which I haven't seen, and I realised I need to get my finger out and actually get watching some of these things, watching some of these movies that apparently tick that solitude, silence, barricaded in tick box for me. So the next one on my list is about a bunker. You may have seen it. It's a kind of a trilogy, and this is the second one in the trilogy, even though they're kind of not, it's not your typical trilogy, and you may have already guessed it. But the movie's 10 Cloverfield Lane, which Mary Winstead, can't remember her full name, I'll put it up on the screen on a movie poster thing. But it's her, it's John Goodman and another gentleman, and this girl driving her car, she crashes and she wakes up in a nuclear bunker, or a bunker, as the end of the world appears to have happened. It's a kind of a thriller, but it is all kept in a confined space. Again, I was kind of struggling a wee bit. Some other movies that did make the list and then get cut from the list because they didn't quite fulfill was Panic Room. But Panic Room was just kind of falling outside the subject matter. So by all means, take your liberal thoughts on this. Don't be confined with what I'm trying to portray. But the community question is about kind of solitude movies, and that might be solitude in their own mind. It might be a movie with lots and lots of people, but they're quite solitude people. If you take Blade Runner as an example, Blade Runner Deckard, he's quite a solitude person. He's quite a introvert. He's not really interested in engaging with society from my view of it. If you take even 2049, where Ryan Gosling's character, he is a synthetic robot. I don't think that's a spoiler. It tells you kind of right at the beginning of the movie that he's quite a solitary character again. He's quite a solitude. So take it to that effect if you want as well. I did think about that, and I'm interested to make this quite broad so that I kind of get an idea of what you guys think about being solitude or soul searching, or in that barricaded storm shelter, sheltering from the storm like the day after tomorrow. So let me get on to my, what pick was that? That was 10 Cloverfield Lane. If you haven't seen it, it is part of the Cloverfield trilogy, from my understanding. So the next one is probably not known very well. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments, for the small amount of people that watch my videos on this channel, and that's okay. I'm not consistent enough to allow for people to engage with me the way that you do if you're doing like a blog like Del Boy us, and you get to know Del's life, which is really good. And I was telling him about some of my struggles, where I think he's kind of got similar struggles with the world and how the world treats us sometimes. I'm thankfully in an okay place these days, and it's good to be relatively settled. And I'm taking it. I know that I'm kind of riding, and I have been for probably quite some time, the top of the roller coaster, as Alan talks about it. I'm up here, and then at some point that roller coaster is going to kind of crash. Hopefully not soon, so touch wood, but it's inevitable. It's just part of life, unfortunately, for everybody. It's part of life that something's going to go. The big meme at the moment is the guy apparently getting caught having an affair. So somebody's world has just came crashing down. For all the memes that are out there, somebody's world has just crashed, if that is the case. No, I don't know all the details. I just know it's been flying around mad the past few days. So the next one isn't quite well known, and it is about barricading yourself in. It's a French movie, I believe, and I just quickly watched some of it before doing this video. It is on Prime Video. It doesn't appear to be in French with subtitles. It does appear to be English, but I couldn't quite tell because there's not a lot of speaking in the movie, and the scenes there's not really much dialogue at all, and it's because this guy is solitary, he's alone. The movie's called The Night Eats the World. It's a zombie movie. I did watch The Train to Busan recently. Loved that zombie movie. It was really, really good, but it doesn't really capture solitude. It captures more the survival aspect of zombie movies. So, yeah, The Night Eats the World is about a guy. I think he goes to a party and he goes to sleep because he's got about a headache or something, and he wakes up and the world has ended overnight. And it's about him barricading himself in. So I'll leave it there. I'm not going to give you much more than that. Go and watch that movie if you haven't seen it. It's definitely a movie to watch. Now, speaking of which, and it kind of leads me into my number one choice, and there will be a few wee bonus ones, so feel free to do your 8, 9, 10 movies, whatever you like. It doesn't need to strictly be 5, but then again, try to limit yourself so you're not just giving me everything. So I'll leave out some of the ones I did have in my list. I might try and find another subgenre for them to fit into. So, The Night Eats the World is a good movie. Go watch it if you like zombie movies, if you like solitude, if you like survival. Number one on my list is a Peter Dinklage movie. Some of you may have guessed it by now. It doesn't get very good reviews. And I get why, but there's something about the movie, and this is what leads me on to my other point. Muckman Movies told me about The Station Agent. I think I maybe mentioned it in my last video. And this movie's got a similar feel to it. It's called I Think We Are Alone Now, starring Peter Dinklage, Elle Fanning, and Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti does seem to pop up in quite a lot of the movies I really like. And yeah, so I Think We're Alone Now is an end of the world movie. Everybody's kind of died from some sort of virus or something. It's not a zombie movie. It's more about solitude and quiet and calmness to a certain extent. It's been a while. I've seen it at least twice, if not three times. It's been a while since I've seen it. Probably about 6 months ago I seen it last. So that kind of hits my top one. So I hope you've heard of them. Maybe you've heard of them. If you haven't heard of them, they're well worth a watch. I'm really, really happy that I watched The Station Agent. I know there was a few other suggestions, which I might need to go back and see if I can find them in the chat, because I do like a movie or a thing on solitude. Of them all, my recommendation is really going to be this Project Hail Mary. If you haven't read this book and you like The Martian, if you like, I'm trying to think of anything similar that I've read. It's hard to kind of come up with anything. I don't want to big up too much, because then somebody will read it and go, that was that bang average, Robert. Or Bob. So why this? But this is, it's probably close to being my number one book of all time. And it's just a beautiful story. There's just something about it, something about the humour within the book. So if you do like kind of, I did get this wrong though, because I said Star Wars was a sci-fi movie, and I got into trouble for that a wee bit because other people argue that it's fantasy only. Castle Princess, Death Star Princess, even, whatever. This one definitely is sci-fi. It's all about science. So if you like science as well, if you like kind of in-depth Martian book, Martian type, and I don't mean Martians as in little green aliens, I mean as in the book The Martian or the movie The Martian, definitely go check that out. I realise I'm at nearly 18 minutes of blabbing, which is funny. Hey, I haven't eaten my Cookie Monster. May as well keep him as a character. So let me go into the few wee bits, and I don't have notes on these, so I'm going to have to try and remember them off the top of my head. The few ones that didn't make the list, but which are probably should be in the list above some of these. Dawn of the Dead is definitely probably number one. I've loved Dawn of the Dead, the movie, for years, and I do quite like the book adaptation, which doesn't give very good review. It's very similar to the movie, to be fair. Very, very similar. I think it was wrote as a, how do you call that? Whenever a TV or a movie's turned into a book, they call it a something. I'll look it up and try and put it on the screen if I remember. But Dawn of the Dead, getting into and I mean the one where they go into the, Dawn of the Dead, the old one, the 1970s version, not the new one, but the story's kind of the same. They lock themselves inside a massive mall, or mall as we would say, or a retail park, retail building, whatever you want to call it, shopping centre as we might say here. But they lock themselves in there, and it's about the clearing out and the survival aspects and the dynamics of living as a small group. And I know that Dawn of the Dead was a lot about commercialism, and there was a bit of statement in there about our shallowness these days, the shallowness of society, that we are like zombies, that we zombify ourselves to the ways of the world, the commercial lures, the I don't know, but I know that that's part of the story. But getting on to gaming, and because I wanted a book, I wanted a movie, I kind of wanted a game as well. The game definitely is one that I've spent thousands of hours in, called Project Zomboid, where you wake up again. I might just go and play it a wee bit, put it down in the corner. But zombie apocalypse has broke out. You're a sole person. There is no other survivors in this world unless you play as multiplayer. But you've got to try and either barricade yourself in to begin with and see how long you can survive. And it does turn into a Stardew Valley idea with zombies. It's got a big upgrade. They've started doing underground basements, started expanding the world, doing a lot of ragdoll physics and different things. I've been playing it for years though, so it's certainly not a game for Alan Mainmeister. But Project Zomboid is really good. I know State of Decay, which I have on my computer, never played it. I don't know if it's kind of similar. I would quite actually, I might go and watch some gameplay on that. But it's Sunday, work tomorrow, so I need to go and shave my hair, shave my face, excuse me, get my clothes ready, and all that good stuff. So hopefully you take the community question, take your time. If it's 6 months down the line you see this video and you want to make a response, make the response. If I'm still around, I will respond. If you leave a message either over on the Wee Bob Art channel or on this channel, I will respond. This channel I forget to log in sometimes, so I do get notifications on my phone though. In terms of life is good. Like I said, I have work tomorrow. I've got a new wee dog, Jojo is doing fine, and I'm not going to take this any further forward. It says at 21 minutes, so if I cut out bits, I cut out bits, but I'm at 21:39, and I'll say, yo, or Wee Bob is out. Goodbye.